When faith feels complicated, start with what Jesus said. Love God, love others. This isn't about having all the answers. It's about choosing where to begin. Start here.
The entire series is based off of what I think is the most revolutionary, the most transformative and important command ever given by anyone ever. It's made up of 3 parts, and Jesus was the one who commanded us to kind of do this thing, but we're going to look at how nuanced it all is and really dissect it bit by bit. So the 3 parts of this command are, number 1, love God. Number 2, love yourself. And number 3, love others. These 3 things seem simple, and they kind of are to understand, but they're a lot harder to do. They're a lot harder to live out because there's a lot inside and underneath each one of these simple things. Like, love God. What does that even mean? The science series that we just finished up last week, we talked about just the magnitude and the magnificence of God and what it even, like, who even God is. And it's like, how can we love or have this relationship with this uncreated supreme being who was, is, and is to come? Like, that's insane, right? And then there's the loving of yourself part, which is tough because of self-talk, like negative self-deprecation, the comparison trap that we find ourselves in society and social media, just all of the time. Then there's the love others. Other people, guys, the people can be turkeys sometimes. Like, let's be honest. There's some real goobers out there. And some people are hard to love. Some people that are hard to love live in your house. You're related to one of them, or one of them might be your stepmom. I don't know. But so these 3 things, as simple as they seem, can be a lot harder to live out. But the series is called Start Here because in life, if you want to find peace, I don't know about you, but I want peace in my life. I don't want to be stressed, right? If you want to find joy, another thing I would like to have more of, an abundance of. If you want to experience unconditional love and spread that to the people around you in a way that truly makes people better and makes a difference on this planet, then we must start here with these 3 things, with these 3 moves. And I say moves because I've been thinking about life and how similar it is to the game of chess. Life is kind of like chess, and for a chess grandmaster, what's interesting is that the first 3 moves will set the foundation for everything that follows. The first 3 moves don't necessarily decide the outcome of the game, just like life. Like, whatever your first 3 moves are, like if they're love God, love yourself, and love others, then that's great. Like, that would set a great tone for the rest of your life, right? But they're not going to determine the outcome of your life necessarily. They're going to put you in a better place, probably. But if you do something other than that, lay a different foundation, your first 3 moves are a little bit different, it's going to set a different tone for the rest of your life, and you understand. So we see this. It says, if you get the first 3 moves right, and the rest of your position will cooperate with you. Get them wrong, and you will spend the next 20 moves trying to fix it. I don't know about you again, but I don't want to live a life where I'm just trying to continuously fix the previous steps, where I'm playing defense all the time, trying to undo the damage that was done because I laid a poor foundation, because my first 3 moves were off. I want our first 3 moves to be good ones that honor God, honor ourselves, and honor others. And Jesus wanted these things for us too. There's a reason why God, in human form, commanded us to do these things. So it's the reason why we must start here, to love God first. And that's what we're going to be talking about this morning. If you have a Bible, go ahead and turn to Matthew chapter 22. We're going to be in the Bible every single week, so bring them. If you just have the Bible app on your phone, that's great. That's what I use, and there's nothing wrong with that. But I do encourage you to follow along. While you're getting there, Matthew chapter 22, I want to set it up for us a little bit. So at this time, we're looking at Matthew, who accounted for the life of Jesus and his earthly ministry, right? And this is later in the book. So already we see the arrival of Jesus claiming to be the Son of God and actually God in the flesh, in human form. Jesus had walked on water before this point. He had fed the 5,000. He had healed numerous people. He predicted his own death 3 times, a biblically significant number. Needless to say, people were intrigued. They were like, who is this guy? Who is this guy out here doing these things? And not everybody was intrigued in the good way. Some people were threatened, and here's why. Imagine you just discovered the cure for cancer. Imagine you just discovered the cure for cancer. Now, the sick people and the people who have cancer would love you, right? They're like, thank you, a savior. Somebody's come to heal me, heal us, change everything, make everything better. You know who would not be pumped, though? Big Pharma. Big Pharma would not be pumped because their livelihood is dependent on people being sick. Think about the billions of dollars wrapped up in this industry, pharmaceutical companies, medicines, treatment centers, hospitals, doctors, college and education systems made to help people with cancer. If you all of a sudden came out with a cure, all of that would go away. I mean, the impact would be devastating in a lot, like economically speaking, and for so many families, but it would be ultimately healing and restorative for the sick. Well, which do we want? We want people to be healthy and safe and to heal them. But if you're a corporation and you have some corruption and you're dependent on making money off of the people who are sick, you're not going to like that, right? But that's what Jesus was doing. And so there's these Pharisees at the time who were like religious leaders, but they were more than just like your church pastor or something. Like they were also lawyers, essentially. They were experts in the law. So these guys had studied the Hebrew Old Testament. They were experts in the Torah. They could probably recite most, if not all of it, from memory. And they had temples, and they had congregations, and they had entire infrastructures built up around people following and obeying the 613 laws in the Mosaic Law, the law given to Moses, the Old Testament, right? So that was their infrastructure. Jesus was coming to essentially set people free from that, to break that whole thing down, to rip it all apart. They didn't like it. They weren't a fan of Jesus. So one of these guys in Matthew 22, starting in verse 35, corners Jesus in a way to sort of trap him with a question. It's like a battle of the wits here, right? Where you have these two experts in the law going head to head. And so this guy says to Jesus, teacher, which is the greatest commandment in the law? It's like a trick question, right? Because like I said, he was referring to this law given to Moses by God, comprised of literally 613 rules to follow, things that you couldn't wear, ways that you had to prepare your food, ways that you would cut your hair, how you would plant seeds. Like it was very rule-based. And 248 of these rules were like positive. Hey, like you should do these things. 365 were negative. Hey, don't do these things. They were prohibitive. That's a no for every day of the year right there. Crazy. So since no one could possibly keep all of these laws and keep all of these commands, I mean, it was literally impossible. Moses was like, follow all these laws. This is how people are going to know that you're God's chosen people. This is how people are going to know that you're not like these sinners over here because you look like this and you dress like this and you talk like this and you go here and you don't do that and you don't eat that. And this is how they'll know. But that was impossible. It was impossible. They were even divided into these categories, the laws. There were the heavy laws and the light laws. The heavy ones were like don't kill people. Right? But the light ones were like, don't lie. Like it probably wouldn't be good to lie. And these are sort of more negotiable, kind of more of a gray area. Like we can disagree on these things, but we can't disagree on the heavies. So this guy was asking Jesus, like, which is the heaviest of the heavies? Like, which is the biggest of the big? Who's the biggest, the largest? That's what they're asking. So to answer the question, Jesus, he quotes it from the Mosaic Law, which is kind of awesome. It's straight up out of Deuteronomy chapter 8 and Leviticus chapter 19. And he replies with this. The greatest commandment is to love the Lord your God with all your heart and with all your soul and with all of your mind. It's the first and the greatest commandment. It's such an interesting thing that he says this is the first and the greatest commandment because it wasn't the first command given by God to Moses. It's not even in the 10 Commandments. But Jesus is making it first. Jesus is declaring that this is now its first. This is the greatest. Like he is rewriting the law right in front of these lawyers, right in their face. I love it. But Jesus doesn't stop there. He immediately connects loving God with loving others. And he says this, which is the greatest commandment, right? Love God. He just says with all your heart, soul, mind. And the second is like it, love your neighbor as yourself. Jesus is like, oh, you want to know the number one law? It's this too. He doesn't even obey numbers and how they work. Like he's just going straight off the cuff. But notice something. Loving God well leads to loving others well. If love God is your first move in the chess game of life, your second move would be to love others and love yourself well. But you kind of don't and won't and can't do the following two if you don't have the first one in place. At least not well, at least not fully, to the fullest potential. Love, when you think about it, involves commitment. If you're talking about loving God, you're being committed to him, to this relationship. Any relationship you're in, if you want it to be healthy and you want it to thrive and you want it to grow and be better, you're going to be dedicated to it. You're going to put time, effort, and energy into it. It's probably going to require some sacrifice, right? You can love God with your life, with your actions, with your words. Love is critical. Without love, we're kind of nothing. Like it's almost meaningless without love. So move number one has got to be love God. Move number two, love others. Move number three, love ourselves. Next week, we're talking about loving others. We're talking about love ourselves after that. But Jesus says that these three moves are the most important. They are the greatest. And I love how he sums it up in verse 40. It's because he says all of the law and the prophets hang on these two commands. If you're doing these two things, he's like, let me take your 613 rules, legalities, prohibitions, and boil it down to two. Because if you're doing these two things, the rest will follow. The rest will follow. And that's what matters most. These are what matter most. And that is the cure. That's the cure. It's the cure that got Jesus killed. His death was political. It was so that religious leaders could keep spreading their works-based propaganda and not lose their profits. And I don't know about you, but respectfully, screw that, you know? The systems that have been put in place to like oppress people for money or whatever, if it compromises loving them, it's not a good system. If it's at the expense of loving God and loving people and loving yourself, it's not right. It's not what Jesus calls us to. There are people going hungry, you guys. I'm sure you're probably aware of what's going on in the world. People can't pay their bills. People are being made fun of, and people are being excluded, and people are being bullied, and people are being abused, and people are being traumatized. People are trying to deal with these things by self-medicating through substances or just trying to doom scroll the pain and the stress away. People are afraid to be honest about their identity and who they are. People have messed up family situations that we're trying to deal with without sufficient help. People have medical issues and can't get access to help. There's pressure in school and in sports and with money and pressure in relationships. And it is hard to be a human being. Probably harder for you and your generation than any generation in recorded human history. There's a lot of metrics that would argue that. Like you're living in maybe the toughest time to be a teenager ever right now. And we gotta keep moving forward. How do we do it? How do we navigate this chess match of life, man? Your first three moves have gotta be dialed. And they've gotta be starting here. Loving God, putting him first. Loving these people. You're in a room full of people right now. Like you go home, you go to school, there's people everywhere. You interact with people all the time, even online. Like, are you loving? How do you speak to yourself? Are you loving? And why would you be anyway, right? Why would we not just be like, you know what? Screw you, man. Like, it's like, you don't help me, you don't benefit me at all. Like, I don't really care about you. I don't know you. Why would we help anyone at all? Why would we love them? The answer is in 1 John 4:19. We love because Jesus first loved us. When we didn't deserve it, he offered it. We didn't do anything that could earn it. He gave it anyway. And he says, like, I've given you this free gift that you didn't earn or deserve. Why don't you give that to others and do what's been done for you? How selfish would it be to receive that and not pay it forward? To receive that and be like, thanks, but I'm going to keep that to myself. Let's be better, right?